Hello, and welcome to 5 Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 8th grade concept of volume. This is standard 8.7a in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 21 of the 2025 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. All right, so we've got a sphere, we have the diameter, we're looking for the volume. So let's just sketch, right? So it is just going to look like a circle. Now, one way that we can kind of make it look like a sphere a little bit is to kind of give a line up front and maybe a dotted line that's a little bit curved in the back. But either way, we need to know that this is a sphere and we have a diameter. So what we know is we've got a diameter. So I'm going to kind of draw a straight line all the way through. And it goes from side to side. We have to know that the diameter is going through the center, and it is 6 centimeters. So let's do the 6 cm. All right, we're looking for the volume in terms of pi. That's going to be important, but let's look at our formula chart here. And we're looking for volume. Okay, so we got prism or cylinder, pyramid or cone. There's our sphere right there. And so what we need is V equals 4/3 pi r cubed. All right, that's the formula that we need right there. And so really the only thing that we can do if we're going to try to make this a challenging problem is we've got pi in our formula, and the only variable then is really the r, the radius. So that's the variable. That's what we will do to try to make it a little bit more challenging for students. And instead of giving you the radius, they're going to give us the diameter. That's it. That's the big change. And we do need to come back to this. You notice that we don't need to simplify pi. When they say in terms of pi, take a look at all of our answers. All of our answers include pi because pi is an irrational number, right? It is the ratio of the circumference to the diameter, and it is a non-terminating decimal, 3.1415. It goes on forever, it never stops. So if you want to get an actual number, you always have to round it or approximate it. If you want a true answer, you always have to leave pi in there. That's why sometimes you'll see answers in terms of pi. You can get an actual answer because you're not approximating it. All right. So that means that we need to first realize that our diameter equals 6 inches, or 6 centimeters, excuse me, which means our radius is half of that. And that's the trick. So we've got our radius here of 3 centimeters, because a radius is always half of your diameter. Goes from the center to the side. And then we're just going to stick that into our equation. So V equals 4/3 pi. And then our radius is going to be 3. And we are going to cube that. So that does not mean 3 times 3. That means 3 times itself 3 times. So if we want to look at it, you can do it like this. V equals 4/3. And I'm just going to move that pi to the end because we don't need that to the end. Times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. But if you leave them separate like that, you can do this, right? You can at least simplify by saying that that 3 that's under the 4 is going to cancel out one of those 3's up there. So now what we're left with is 4 times 3 times 3 times pi. And so that's just going to be 12 times 3 pi, or 36 pi. Now, if you didn't do it like that, if you just did 4/3 times 27, you're still going to get that 36. So our answer here is going to be B, 36 pi cubic centimeters.